This is the Free Zone Communiqué, transmitting from Virginia's unoccupied sector. If you think smart cities, DEI, censorship, government intrusion, bug paste, and other left-wing nonsense are no longer a possibility, think again. We've won one election with slim majorities. Our work to rebuild a free and sane America has just begun.
This is the Free Zone Communiqué on the P4B. Welcome to the new program. A lot of changes. Ron's not with us anymore. He's out doing other pursuits. Our next guest says Ron will be back, and she's usually right. So hopefully Ron will be back someday. Someday there'll be a Jordan Quarry show again. But for now, we got to concentrate on the things we have to concentrate on. As it says in the intro, we've won one election with slim majorities here. There is a lot of work left to be done. The 26 midterms are going to be critical. And I know people are going, oh my God, we just got over an election. I get it. I do. But we have to think about those midterms. With the majorities we have right now, there is very little we can do that's of substance. Can you see? Joining us now is an old friend. A lot of people think that the P4B is like a Delco reunion, and it kind of is.
Yeah, I'm from Yaden.
I assure you that's all from by coincidence.
Right.
Ron and I have known each other since kindergarten. We both live in Virginia now. We started to do the show together. We get every once in a while get a really good guest. Charlie Alexander was a good one, and he's from Delco.
Really?
And then for a couple of years, I've been talking to Joanne Bailey on Facebook, and I didn't make a connection. So Ron and I were talking about Joanne, and I said, I think we should have her on the show. She's really tuned in. And he started talking about you, and I said, wait. Is that the Baileys from Yaden? And he said, yeah.
Yeah.
I said, holy crap.
Right. You probably know my brothers.
Oh, yeah, Bobby, right?
You know Bobby, okay.
Yeah, Bobby Bailey, I think a year older than me.
Okay, so you're my age because he's like almost 2 years older than me.
Yeah, okay.
So like you and I are probably the same age. I grew up across the street from Ron.
Across the street from
Ron Corey.
Right, correct.
Yeah, we were on the same block.
Yeah. So everybody knows we're not trying to make this a Delco-centrist production here. It's just worked out that way because
you know what I mean. It's a good thing.
I've known her lives in Texas.
Delco is a critical county as far as politics and elections go. You know, it's a really if it could be turned red, the whole country would go red. It's I don't know why it's blue. I don't. You know, I don't know.
People have seen the last few shows already know that I'm pretty disappointed in how things are starting to work out in Delco.
Yeah.
It was, 4th of July, streamer in the spokes.
If you know my family at all, you probably know that my father owned the Republican Club.
Right.
And that my mother was elected to office 4 times as a Republican.
Yeah, Yaden was funny. I mean, for generations, the county was Republican.
Right.
If you wanted a job at the county, you had to be a Republican. But now, when they gerrymandered the districts and Philadelphia sucked up Yaden and Darby, and I think East Lansdowne, into their congressional district.
Yeah, no hope.
The Democrat influence in the county grew, and now it turned blue about 3 years ago.
Really? I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah.
I mean, Yaden was always, Yaden always had a lot of Democrats. But it wasn't like it is now. Like people, like Democrats and Republicans were like, you didn't even know. Like you didn't ask people, are you? You just didn't even. It wasn't a thing.
You just hit on something. It was going to be later in the show, but that's okay, because I did want to cover it. Watching these people freak out about who voted for whom.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my mom took us up to Church Lane to see Humphrey drive down the street in a convertible. While he was running for president. It was a big deal. Little town.
Yeah.
Presidential candidate comes through. And I knew that year she voted for Humphrey. She was working the polls as a Democrat, and I'm sure she voted for Humphrey. So she came home from the polls on election day. I said, who'd you vote for? Who'd you vote for? She said, that's none of your business. And you don't ask. You don't ask those questions. It
didn't even occur to us.
Correct. She said there's a reason it's a private vote, because there's people who might have certain feelings about things, day-to-day life, but they might see something important in a politician that has nothing to do with their relationship with their friends or their church or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't say, who did you vote for? And who you voted for is nobody else's business. So part of the problem I see right now with all these people freaking out online and demonstrating how unstable and stupid they are in public has to do with making a public show of a private decision.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't matter, like you were friends. If you liked a person, you could be friends with a person for a decade and never know if they were a Republican or a Democrat.
Yeah, wouldn't know.
Didn't matter. It was the least important thing. And then on election day, you went, and if you were me, you pulled the big red lever. That's what I did every time.
I didn't know from political parties. I didn't know from religion.
I know.
There was two religions.
Yeah.
Catholic.
Catholic and Jewish. No, it was Jew. I was public.
Public was the other one.
I was public.
We saw anybody who didn't go to Catholic school
as a public
school. They were publics.
That was me.
We saw it.
I went to Jew
or Lutheran or.
Yeah, but I mean, we had Jewish. We had Catholic and Jewish, because I went to public school. The Jewish kids were in there with me. They didn't go to Catholic school, so I went to school with the Jewish kids in public school, and they were smart.
And who knew? It didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Stand by. More to follow.
You too can be a pooper. In 2018, I was an author with a WordPress blog. My mission was to create better politicians by informing and inspiring the best of our voters. I succeeded, one voter at a time, but there are 200 million of you out there. I started the P4B and ultimately the Jordan Corey Show to widen our reach. Now we hope to rekindle your sacred, your important archival knowledge, and channel it toward building a healthier, more productive republic. You can add your voice in the comment sections. Our words will echo, but how loudly and for how long depends on you. The more you support us, the louder the echo. The more you share, the more ears the echo will reach. We are working to improve our delivery and expand our reach. Subscriptions are still 100% free. Help us grow numerically and technically and remain a free site. Donate directly or support our affiliate sponsors. There are buttons below the media line for this episode. Share every day and subscribe on Substack and Rumble. Become a political party pooper. One of the reasons it's become so outrageously stupid is because people don't understand the structure, the political structure that the United States was intended to be. The last guy on your list of important people in the world should be the president of the United States
Yeah.
because
They don't have as much power as
he,
you think.
he is the chief executive of a branch of government and is concerned with the internals of that branch. The most important guy should be your mayor or your county supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Should be the guy that's getting gas and up nights. What is he going to do for the people?
Yeah. The chief of police, the mayor,
Yeah,
the judge, the local judge.
local judge. Yeah,
Yeah.
we flipped the whole system, and now everybody sees the federal government as the varsity, and then state governments like JV,
Yeah.
local governments, the intramurals who just pretend,
Right.
and all our priorities and all our
Well, I mean, you have to recognize
resentments now
still,
reflect that. But yeah, the reason I brought Joanne on, we tried to do a live feed on election night, and technologically it was a three-ring circle jerk.
it didn't work.
Uh,
It just didn't work.
it just didn't work. But Ron and I, while the show's going on, while we felt we were going out, some people were getting sound only, some people were getting video only. And
And I wasn't getting anything. I was getting
yeah, you weren't there yet.
server message.
So we're looking at the numbers, we're crunching numbers, we're watching them come in, and we're thinking, oh, geez, if he doesn't take North Carolina, for God's sake. And we
Right.
were getting really antsy. So finally got Joanne on, and we're talking about the excitement of it, and it's so close. And Joanne says, relax, relax.
We're kicking ass.
We're gonna kill it tonight. And
Yeah.
walk me through, because I was holding the phone, so
I'll
Ron
tell you why.
didn't hear a lot of what you said.
Okay. I gamble on politics all the time, not just in the United States. All politics. I like to gamble on politics.
Right.
And because of that, I like math. I make spreadsheets. I look at data. I look at the cross tabs on the polls. When a pollster publishes a poll, I look and I see who did they talk to? What were the questions they asked? And I can tell the garbage is just trash. It's just, I ignore it. I tried to tell Ron, it's just trash.
Did you see the spread in Iowa just before the election?
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Between the
Ann Seltzer.
The
Ann Seltzer poll.
Des Moines Register and the Atlas poll.
Yeah.
It was a 17-point spread.
Yeah. Ann Seltzer did that poll, and she said Kamala Harris was going to win Iowa by like 5 or something crazy. Maybe it was 30, but it was just ridiculous. But maybe she made an honest mistake, but these are not honest mistakes. Okay, Nate Silver, you know who he is.
Nate Silver?
Nate Silver, he's an odds maker. He's on ESPN. He's in all odds makers.
Right.
Are very corrupted and subject to corruption.
Right.
If you can get to an odds maker, you can make some money. And if you literally would have taken a penny and flipped it in the air or a quarter or whatever and done heads or tails, you would have beat Nate Silver for the last 3 elections.
Okay.
He was below 50% accurate. And then here he comes out every time, I'm the expert. Listen to me.
Yeah.
And he's just a windbag, and personally, I think he's paid off. I mean, how could you be that wrong that you can't even beat a coin toss?
When you're a prognosticator like that, it's like being a low-life broker, stockbroker, where you tell 500 people buy this stock, it's going to go up.
Yeah.
And then they all buy it, and it goes up or it goes down, but you made your money.
Yeah.
Then you tell 500 other people, short this stock, it's going to go down.
Yeah.
If it goes down, some of the people make money, some of the people don't. And then you play that every day.
Yeah.
You could be right, you could be wrong, but somebody's going to make money each time, so they think you're a genius.
Yeah, he's a genius because I think it was 2004. He actually, or 2008, he got it like close. He was close. And ever since then, he's just been, but it was Obama and it was a landslide and everybody knew it. You didn't have to be an odds maker to figure it out. And it was an easy one. And he hasn't had one right since then. That's the last one he got. And he is ridiculous. I don't pay any attention to him whatsoever. But there he is. And the left wing people love him. And that other guy, what was his name? Alan Lichtman or Lichtfield, or the guy with the 18 keys, and he predicted everything. Complete idiocy. And you just have to be able to throw that in the trash.
Were you doing analysis in the swing states? Were you looking at those?
Yeah. Oh, I looked at all the swing states. Yeah, of course I focused on that. I wanted to bet on all of those. I may have had a bet on every one of them as far as margins and all that. But I mean, listen, I'm betting $5.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not like, I'm in it for the fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you're a gambler, like, my dad was a bookie. If you're a gambler, I like to play poker. I like to bet. You're going to lose sometimes. It hurts a lot, so I just don't go in too deep. I'm more into the entertainment.
Yeah.
But I love doing the math and spreadsheets and looking at all the polls. I love that stuff. So like Ron would be telling me on Facebook stuff like, "Oh my God, did you see this or that poll?" And I'd be like, "No, come on." He's like, "You're going to need to talk me down off the ledge." Ron, we got it. We got it. It's over. It's done. It's in the bag.
That was an interesting night. It was a fun night. They finally called. I guess they called about 2 a.m. sometime.
Yeah.
And I was right in the middle. I actually put out a quick hit that night. For the life of me now, I can't remember what it was. But if you want to look it up on the morning after election night, there's a quick hit out there. It was brilliant, I'm sure. After the election, we had people getting hysterical and people showing their true side. I made a joke maybe a week or two ago that the Dems have become cultish almost to the point of being Scientology.
They're insane, I think.
They are. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. I made that as a joke, but then just a couple of days later, we had a tenured psychiatrist who teaches an Ivy League school. So this is someone who teaches and does casework as well.
Mm-hmm.
Telling the whole world it's okay to disassociate from people.
Oh, I know.
Because they don't share your worldview. Your
Don't go home for Thanksgiving if they don't vote the way you want them to vote. And
right.
Yeah, I saw that too.
This nutbag, what is this nutbag teaching or telling her patients?
I know. It's really
if somebody doesn't see things the way you do, get them out of your life. That's not life. That's not normal. That is teaching sociopathy. It's teaching you to be.
It's really crazy. It's, the boys in the women's sports, the generals in the military wearing dresses, all the stuff is so over the top. You know what? I don't even need to know if that happens. You know what? Maybe that does happen. Maybe there's a transgender in an important role. I don't need to know. I don't need that to be shoved in my face as a primary. This is who we are.
I have no problem. You be you, but
Yeah.
we are under no obligation. No one is under any obligation to celebrate that.
Right.
If it freaked me out, if trans freaked me out, I would be under no obligation to do the pronouns or anything.
You're not under any obligation. I don't get it. I don't get why they made that such a big focus of their identity of the Democrats.
It's narcissism on a level that we've never seen. Now, today, every little quirk that you have about you, there's somebody that wants to turn that into a militant political movement.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You remember You remember when the gay community first started gaining uh, uh, acceptability,
Yeah.
establish themselves? It
I mean,
was
there was gays in my high school, and we didn't hate them.
the
They just,
abbreviation was GL, the Gay Lesbian. Well, there was the Gay
yeah,
Lesbian Alliance, which was
yeah,
huge, and they did a lot of work to advance the community. So it was Gay Lesbian. GL was the abbreviation. And when they started talking about marriage, people started going, whoa, 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 whoa. Next thing
yeah.
you know, you'll be telling us bisexual.
Mhm.
The entire gay community, in terms of the militants, the people who were involved in the politics of it,
Yeah,
forget the bis. They're stupid. They don't know what side they come down on. They just can't make
yeah.
up. It was the gay community speaking, right?
Yeah, they have fissures in their own community. There's schisms. They
Right.
fight amongst themselves, and they're doing it now, even worse.
Right. And with
Yeah,
each step, then it became LGB,
mhm.
because by the bisexuality,
Yeah,
the movement realized, well, that's a whole new bunch of people we can put in our movement. So now it's
yeah,
LGBT. And then people started saying, well, next thing you know, men will be running around in dresses, and the gay community is going, no, 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 no.
yeah,
Cross-dressing, transsexual, that has nothing to do with our community. It has
yeah,
nothing to do with being gay or lesbian. That's ridiculous. Don't even think
yeah.
about LGBT and so
Right.
on.
Yeah,
And
and then queer is Q. I don't know what queer really is, but
yeah, yeah, it's whatever you want it to be. But
pedophiles. It's pedophile. I mean,
to
they're
be,
putting the pedophiles in there now, and there's also the ones that
they're,
want to be cats and dogs.
yeah,
And
in
yeah,
the last 2 years, I guess,
they've
you've
added
heard
pedophiles,
people say, "Oh, we can't be cruel to pedophiles. We need to call them minor attracted persons."
adults. Yeah, minor attracted persons.
They're
Yeah.
trying. They're trying to rehabilitate
So you see, I
concept
mean,
of pedophile.
this is the reason why the entire country shifted right.
It is. It
Nobody
is.
wants to
But it's
be.
also. I
It's
think
insane.
we got tangential there. My point was, um, we're seeing this crazy stuff, and women shaving their head, and I'll never have sex with men again, and all these uh, silly acts of crazy exhibitionism
Yeah,
because of that cult-like quality that the Democratic Party has taken on. They call us a cult because we voted for Trump. If you vote for Trump, they're saying
right.
a lot of people voted for Trump, including me, who criticize
Yeah,
him constantly. He puts my teeth on edge. He does. But
yeah. I don't think he's the greatest.
he's got a job to do, and
I
he's got
think he's. I don't like his personality too much. I don't want to kind of like have a beer with him,
to.
but I think he's a great. He's just what we need. We need him. We need somebody who says what they mean, not afraid of anybody. He doesn't care what you think. He's who we need. He's not a good politician. He doesn't make a good impression,
Yeah,
but
he's
he does.
not a good showman in that regard. Yeah, when he was making his billions, he wasn't in the boiler room making the deal. He was on the
Yeah,
golf course, smoozing the mark,
yeah,
and telling him, giving him the 30,000 foot picture. His people were out ironing out the deals with the
yeah.
marks.
And his kids are good at it too. You know.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a great president. I'm so looking forward to these 4 years. I'm so excited because I feel like Elon Musk, and I mean, they're gonna break it all down. You know, they're gonna tear it all apart, throw it away, and start over.
well, you
And we
just
really,
stepped into the next thing I wanted to discuss. Oh, but before I do that, I did want to make one more point about the cult. Um, if there was an old guy who worked for a car company and his job was to keep his section of the line clean, keep the floor swept, to keep debris out of the way of the other workers, and he did that for 40 years. He never wanted to move up. He got his
mhm,
union raise along with everybody else. Now he's making 60, 70, $80,000 just
mhm,
sweeping up his area.
mhm.
And the company says, oh man, no, no, no. We got to get rid of him because we could hire 4 20-year-olds to do that
Mhm.
job if we
Yeah.
get rid of him. The left, the unions, anybody with a heart really would come down on the car company and say, why are you going to take an old man's livelihood away? He's just trying to stay in the game. That's wrong. It's ignorant. It's abusive.
Yeah.
And here is the Democrat tribe in DC screaming at Sotomayor to get out.
Yeah.
Sotomayor is a judge for life. She thinks what she does is important. She
Yeah.
earned it. I don't agree with 90% of her rulings, but it's not for me to say when she gets out. But these
Yeah.
people are so obsessed with their next pick.
Yeah. They want their next
They
pick.
want her out
They
in the
want to
next
get a pick
months.
before Trump gets all the rest of them. And they
Yeah.
know that Sotomayor isn't probably is it's a good chance won't make it through the next 4 years. Who knows?
She's only got type 1 diabetes and she's 70. How old was RGB when she died? 120?
Oh my God. Gosh. He was a dinosaur fart.
Those judges live forever, man. Corrupted
Yeah.
don't live
They
that
do
long.
seem to live forever. I think they have the greatest doctors on the planet, and they like look at them.
It's great.
Diane Feinstein.
Oh, she was. Oh my God, she was worse than Joe Duh. She was out there, man.
She had a stroke,
Yeah,
and they used to wheel her in and like take a hold of her
raise
hand
her head. Yeah,
and make her vote, and then wheel her out like oh my God. They
is
held on to her,
that's twisted. That's
and that's
twisted.
the same
That's
reason
not
they want to
politics.
like.
That's sick.
It's all politics. It's the same reason they want to get rid of Sotomayor. It's the same reason why they wouldn't let her go. They wouldn't let her
Right.
have peace with her family. She had to be wheeled in and out. It's like Biden. I mean, come on.
It shows you how amoral the permanent governing class is.
Yeah.
And that's part of this new show, and it was always the reason for the P4B is
Yeah.
to constantly shine the light on how ethically and morally warped
Yeah.
our political
Look
class.
at Joe Biden. I mean, you don't have to look too far. Everybody knew all over the world. My daughter lives in Australia, one of them, and like all over the world, he was mocked.
Mm-hmm.
He was put out on the world news, and like everybody in their living rooms in the whole world pointed their fingers at the TV and laughed at him.
Right.
He is a joke, and everybody knows he has dementia. He's done so many things they've seen him do. God knows how many things they haven't seen him do. He fell 3 times, which is really a sign of it. He wandered off into the bushes. He did everything. We knew he had dementia, and yet they said he didn't. And then they came out with like a month before he debated Donald Trump and finally crashed and burned. They were saying he's sharp as a tack. Remember, sharp as a tack?
Oh yeah, that morning Joe Scarborough was saying this is the best Joe has ever been. Yeah.
Sharp. And then even after he was gone and Kamala was in, they couldn't admit it. Kamala, when did you first recognize that Joe Biden was suffering from dementia? Oh, Joe Biden was.
She couldn't answer the question. She never answered that question.
No, she just said he's capable. That's what she said. He's completely capable. He's capable of what? Taking your crack?
Clearly wasn't. And my question is, who's been running? Well, in my mind, it's not a question. I've already decided, and I write about it all the time. But the question for the voter should be, Joe's not running it. Kamala clearly wasn't running it. Who's running it?
Obama.
Who is the actual chief executive of the executive branch of the United States of America? Because it damn sure wasn't Joe.
No, it was never Joe.
Or wasn't Kamala.
No. He didn't really like her that much. She was a DEI hire, a black female. That's, we checked our Democrat boxes. Yeah. She's terrible at her job. She's totally unqualified. So we'll just pretend she doesn't exist. And her approval rating was the lowest in the history of the United States for a vice president, at lowest ever.
And she demonstrated, her candidacy demonstrated clearly. I mean, anybody who says this isn't true is a liar. It demonstrated that the media and the Democratic Party, mainstream media,
Oh yeah.
like this. They are
Oh, yeah.
one organization,
They are one, absolutely. I
one
mean,
mission.
yeah. Okay, so it was all hot air. And this is another one where I had conversations with Ron. Ron would be like, oh, like as she was going up and up and up, I was like, Ron, she's being pumped up with hot air. It's all gonna bust. It's just a big hot air balloon. It's being blown up and it's gonna pop. She is not real. She was never real. No one ever liked her. When she was the vice president, no one liked her.
No, nobody
No
liked.
one voted. No one, when she was in the primary, she got less than 1%. No one ever liked her. Nobody.
You got less
Republicans.
than 1% in the polls and dropped out before the first vote. As a
Yes.
matter of fact, until this election, I had one more vote than Kamala ever had.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
I put
You had a
myself
vote.
in for
Somebody
state
voted for
attorney.
you.
I didn't know the guy, so I wrote my name in and voted for
Hey, I
him.
was the class president.
So it's stupid, but I had one more vote than she did, and they appointed her to be a
Yeah,
nominee for president of the United States.
yeah. So, and then they talk about democracy. Oh, we're the party of democracy. And they had plenty of time.
Is that
They could have run a primary.
right? They could have done it. James Carville and a few other people had a really good suggestion. It was still pre-convention. He said, let's do 2 or 3 events sponsored by the DNC,
Hmm.
all the bigs in there, and we'll just duke it out. We'll create a candidate from
Hmm.
that effort.
Yeah,
And the regime, the cabal, which I think is headed by Obama and
yeah,
Jared and Klain, said,
yeah.
no, there will be none of that. We are going to appoint, we will decide who represents the party in this election. And
That's
that's the
bizarre.
most anti-democratic, anti-representative republic thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And then they have the unmitigated gall for the talking heads on their television sets to say that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy.
Right.
What? He's a
Right.
Hitler. He's a Nazi and a fascist.
The projection, the
Ah,
Orwellian unknowing of things,
yeah,
unremembering of things is ridiculous.
yeah.
Like they
I don't
forgot
see him.
inside of 24 hours, they forgot that people on CNN, MSNBC, CNBC on the 19th of July were saying, well, Joe might drop, so who do we get? And they would go through all the possibilities and they would always acknowledge, all of them would say, that'll be tough if we have to throw Kamala under the bus because woman of color and all.
Yeah, true. Yeah, black woman.
But none of them, none of them favored Kamala Harris to be candidate for president of the United States.
Mm-mm. And
48
obviously,
hours later, they're writing editorials about how great she is. The same
I know.
exact people.
Same
And
exact
the
people.
day she loses, the day she loses, the same
Absolutely.
exact people come out and say, well, see,
She was never any good.
he was never engaged. She
We
was
told you she wasn't any good.
right.
Go back and look at my thing I said 3 months ago, and I told you that she was no good. But
These
in
these
between,
guys have
she was
been
great.
these guys have been flushing down stuff down the
Yeah,
memory faster than the guys in the
yeah. And like
in
she thought celebrities,
1984.
she thought that instead of policy ideas and real substance to her, she would just pop out a bunch of celebrities,
Yeah.
and everybody, like
Celebrities and family.
they
Yeah.
would tweak their butts on. Everybody would be like, "Oh, I love that! I'm gonna go vote." Who was she gonna get by the tweaking
Yeah.
or the twerking or whatever they call it? Who was gonna? Who was she aiming for by twerking butts on the stage with the president of the United States?
And spending hundreds of millions doing this kind of ridiculous stuff.
Yeah,
Paying
because she
people
didn't have anything else.
paying
She
people
had
who are
no
about to
ideas.
interview. She gave Al Sharpton his organization that Al Sharpton sucks all his money up from, $500,000 just prior to Al Sharpton interviewing her. That's unethical. You don't do that.
Yeah, but nothing's unethical for Democrats. I mean, there's so many crimes committed that small crimes are just not even crimes. They're not even misdemeanors anymore.
Right.
And oh God, I mean, I look at the new administration that we have that we just elected, And I know that they cannot possibly prosecute every crime, but I hope they get a few of them. Boy, I hope they do. I hope they hit on some of the real big bad ones. I hope they get Adam Schiff. I can't stand that guy, Adam Schiff.
He's a lowlife. Yeah.
I hope they get him, whatever it takes, nail him up, because I saw him come on television and say to the all the people in the United States that he has evidence of Russian collusion and he's seen it and he knows it's real, but he can't talk about it because of the confidentiality.
Yeah. But I'll get it to you. He promised evidence every time he get on TV.
Yeah.
He swore we'd have the evidence within a week or 2 weeks. I have the evidence. I'm going to show you. There was
I can't show you because it's an ongoing investigation, but trust me. And it was all a lie. And
it was a treadmill of bullshit constantly. Just trying to keep the bullshit alive with statements like that.
Our mission continues in a moment.
Just a quick reminder to use all the buttons and links in the description or below the video line. You'll support the P4B by ordering merchandise from the Hero Company, or you can get your Trump gear, P4B gear, or just shop Po River for any gift-giving needs you might have. And don't forget to share and subscribe. That's free. But we did another Trump tangent. You had mentioned the picks, and I wanted to get your impressions. Just quick impressions on the big names. I'll start with an easy one, Marco Rubio.
He's not my favorite, but he's fine. I mean, if Trump likes him, I like him. I'm like so behind Trump and Elon, and those two are geniuses to me. I think Marco is sort of, if somebody stabs him, out of all the cabinet picks he made, if one of them turns out to be a Mike Pence Judas goat, it'll be him.
Rubio, yeah, I said Rubio, Rubio and Gates.
I love Gates.
I don't have an objection to Gates. He can be in. But if there's going to be a cabinet member who looks in the mirror and says, I love this guy more than I love the gig, it'll be Gates. Rubio will have a difference in policy. If anybody has the potential of throwing a stick in the spokes for their own self-interest, I think it would be Matt Gaetz. He's shown it,
I don't know. I trust him a lot more than Rubio. We'll see. I think Matt Gaetz has been so loyal, and he just is dying. He's chomping at the end of the leash, he's lunging forward to like snap in the face.
He's in a win-win situation.
Yeah.
If Trump decides to pull that nomination, Gates has been planning on running for governor in Florida for a long time.
Yeah.
What he'll do, and he'll win if he runs for
governor. He'll win. If he ends up a senator in Florida, which is what he might end up because Rubio's seat is empty. But I don't see how anybody's going. I'd be willing to gamble on that one that Matt Gaetz is the Attorney General.
Yeah, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, because look at it this way. I mean, the recess appointment. I mean, Trump can just say he's my recess appointment. There's just nothing they can do about it. He's in. Every president in the past has made scores of recess appointments. They think the least amount ever was like 40, and the greatest amount ever was like 200. Every president makes recess appointments. It's not a big deal like the Democrats want you to think it is. So if he wants Gaetz, he's getting them. That's all there is to it. So the Senate knows that. Thune knows that. He's the Senate leader. He knows that. He knows he can't. If I oppose this president right now, right out of the gate, early on, and I start making a fuss, now what is he going to gain from that? Nothing, because Gaetz is still getting the job.
Yeah, I wrote about Cornyn the other day.
I don't like him.
He got passed over for Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah.
But I've always considered him to be in the Mitch McConnell camp of
governing
class.
Yeah. No,
He's a weak sister.
listen, here in Texas, there's a schism in the Republican Party,
Yeah.
and it plays out nationwide, but it's way worse here because of the Bush legacy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Republicans here in Texas that are Bushies, and they're never Trumpers that vote for Trump, and they have MAGA in their biography because they don't have a choice, but they don't like him, and they're loyal to Bush. And this manifests itself here in Texas in the person of a guy by the name of Dade Phelan. Dade Phelan is the Speaker of the Texas House. He's a Democrat, rhino, wicked Democrat. He appoints Democrats to the chair of all the committees. He's a Bush, and he impeached Ken Paxton, our Attorney General.
Right.
And Ken Paxton's totally MAGA. Okay, so here's this guy Dade Phelan.
I like Paxton. He didn't back down. He never got skittish because people disapproved. He stayed in. But the legacy you're talking about, you're calling it the Bush legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back further than W. It goes back to back to modern republicanism, the modern Republican Party.
Yeah.
And what Trump now represents, they thought they could control him last time around, and they kind of did. You know, they loaded him up in his cabinet. They recommended all these picks that were the permanent governing class in the Republican Party. And that resulted in constant sabotage while Trump.
Yeah.
So Trump's fighting off the sabotage in his own group, fighting off the sabotage coming from Congress, and
the media.
A good job as the president at the same time.
And the media just bashing him every night.
And they fear him because now he knows how to avoid all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can't control him at all.
Mm-mm.
They know they are in as much danger as Adam Schiff, McCabe, or James Comey.
Yeah.
Either being held up to disgrace or legally punished if they've committed a crime. And there's been some crimes committed.
Oh, there's going to be some, I hope. I mean, the Diddy thing, the Diddy list, the Epstein list. You know, I mean,
I see those lists.
I see those being published.
Lists.
I think there's going to be some heads rolling right there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how can you...
Jimmy Kimmel in an orange jumpsuit.
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel, yeah. They say he's in knees deep, but we'll see. Could be a lie. You never know.
Hegseth for DOD.
Who?
Hegseth.
Oh, yeah. I like him fine. I think he's great. I think he's absolutely perfect.
Yes.
I like everything about him, and every single thing I've read about him, I like.
Yeah, I came around when I first heard it. I didn't know Hegseth other than the fact he was a vet and on the news on Fox. That's all I knew about him. I never got into it fast. So he picks Hegseth, and I'm like, what? A celebrity because he's a celebrity?
No,
when you read into it, he's got
so much more.
Multiple Bronze Stars. He's written a book. He's got advanced degrees.
Yep, at Harvard.
Degrees at Harvard and Princeton.
Yeah.
The beautiful people go,
Yeah.
So
I ordered his book.
Perfectly capable of looking out for the interests of the military.
Yeah, absolutely. His book, I didn't get to read it yet, but I ordered it. I'll probably get it today. I ordered the actual hard copy, so I'm not downloading it or anything. I just ordered the actual book. So I'm thinking it's going to come today, according to the tracking. I'm going to read it. I'll read it in one day, a day and a half. It's called The War on Warriors.
Right.
And it's a #1 New York Times bestseller.
He was very, very frank about our present Joint Chiefs Chairman, who, when he first rose to be, I think he's Air Force. Is he Air Force? In his confirmation hearings, he was race obsessed. Everything he saw through a filter of race. Meanwhile, thoroughly modern Millie is running around putting officers in dresses and doing CRT. And people are being critical of Hegseth for what he said about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. I think Hegseth is correct. And I hear recently, I think he doubled down. He said, no, I'm not going to apologize.
No.
I was right to say it.
Yeah. And he said women should not be in combat.
If Chairman Joint Chiefs has any dignity left, he will tender his resignation the day Hegseth puts his hand in the air.
Oh, good luck.
Or say, look, let's do a transition, appoint an interim or.
Yeah.
But the two cannot be.
Coexist.
At this point.
Well, we have 2 months, 2 months. And I already see houses going up for sale in Northern Virginia.
Really?
Big ones, like $1 million, $5 million. Yeah, they're moving. They're leaving. They're running like rats. Some of them are going to go to other countries because if their choice is either that or jail.
Well, I say in the podcast that we broadcast from the non-occupied sector of Virginia, which is where it's not on the south side, or that northern corridor of blue is the free zone. And if the bureaucracy is broken to the point where these people end up unemployed, I can say two things. Number one, that's good for Virginia. That's very good.
Oh, great for Virginia.
But number two, when they talk about cutting government programs, the talking heads get up and say, "Oh my God, these are the best people in the world. You can't cut that program."
Oh, please.
Yeah, we can. We can cut the whole Department of Education, and nobody will miss them.
Nope.
If
nobody will miss them.
If they are so great, if what the talking heads say is true, they can go back out amongst the 50 states and where's their varsity team, right? They were in the big central government. Now they can come here to Idaho and show us how it's done with all your genius about education.
Idaho doesn't want them.
Or energy.
California might want them, but Idaho certainly doesn't.
I'm talking tongue in cheek. Nobody's going to want them.
Nobody's going to want them. I know, it's wonderful.
They have to get a real job now.
I know, and they can pick fruit because we're kicking out all the illegals.
and they're perfectly capable. They've learned management skills. They learned organizational skills.
Yeah, they could pick fruit. They'd be good at it.
They're versed in whatever their field is,
Really
in
good.
the private sector, they're going to need to get results.
Yeah, they're good at meetings. Meetings are, we go to meetings. They're good at that, sitting in meetings, and they're great at that. Yeah, and but nobody was going to want to hire them, and they're already starting. You should pay attention because Northern Virginia is about to improve drastically because they're leaving. They have to.
Right. I call it a cancer. The parts of Maryland and Virginia that are part of the DC metro area.
Yeah.
It's just
disgusting.
Your area is just a federal government monster. And the people who live there think, I must vote for the big government guy so I can protect my job.
Right. Everybody votes for their best self-interest, and that's what they think their best self-interest is. And they want to get a raise. They want to get a big fat raise, and they want to get, 8 weeks paid vacation and all the other stuff they get from work for the government that nobody else gets, but they do, and they don't want to give it up. And they certainly don't want Republicans to come in because then they might get fired.
Yeah. There's one appointment. I'm sure it's going to turn out to be a very smart appointment. But for the average schmo looking at it from the outside, it's a real yawner. Burgum for Department of Interior.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
He's a smart guy.
I know some, but,
in my opinion, at the big free-for-all debates at the beginning, he sounded the most intelligent. He sounded the most collected, thoughtful. Yeah. He's got a good track record. He's signed paychecks in his day, He
Yep.
knows business and he knows farming. He could have been ag. He could have been uh,
Yeah.
commerce. They chose interior. I think he's going to work closely with ag, commerce, and energy.
Yeah.
They're going to form a
A
uh,
block.
a clique
Yeah. That's great.
designed to shrink all their own area of
Yeah.
responsibility.
Department of this, department of that have been added at the rate of two per year or four per year or something. Like they never stop. They constantly add, and none ever go away.
Right?
And so
There's
it's,
a great example of that is COVID. They sent everybody home, right?
yeah,
And at one point, Biden came out as one of the few smart things he ever did and said, "Okay, it's too dispersed. There's not enough cohesion. Everybody get back to your offices. The era of remote work is over. Everybody get back to their offices." Immediately, the Office of Professional Management and the GSA go to Biden and say, "We can't bring them back." And why? Why can't you? They continued to grow the federal government through COVID when all this stuff was supposed to be being shut down, not doing very much. The federal government's job, their mandate, did not increase during that time. But the federal government grew by like another 30%.
yeah, unbelievable.
Hired people left and right. And when it was time to go back to all these multi-billion-dollar buildings we own, we can't use them because you can't
Yeah.
put them.
And that was obviously reflected in the unemployment figures that they kept releasing. If you drill down, which you know me, I like to drill down. I look at stuff. And it was just government. It was just a fattening of government that was covering up how bad the employment picture really was. They just kept fattening and fattening and fattening with more and more and more government
Hundreds of
employees.
jobs every year for the last 5 years.
Yeah, and part-time, they employees, and they would try to make it look, and you would hear Biden over and over again say how many jobs he added, but they were all fake.
It's
And they were fat, lazy ass government jobs, unproductive. They added nothing to our productivity.
no,
It's just
not at all.
it's
Okay,
just
two easy ones. RFK, HHS.
I love it. I love it. I'm not vaccinated.
If nothing else, he's going to make the next 2 years very interesting and fun to watch.
Listen, I don't think he's as big of a kook as they make him out to be. I've listened to him very carefully a couple times, and he says things, and then they'll come out and they'll say the exact opposite, just like they do to Trump. They hated him. He was taking some of the votes away from Kamala. He was a Democrat, whatever, and he had like 8%. I think in some of the swing states it was even higher, and he was a threat to them. They trashed him, and they trashed him as bad as they trashed Trump. He's not what they make him out to be. He's
That alliance was brilliant.
Yeah.
Pulling RFK over.
Yeah. Oh, that was beautiful.
Savviest political moves I've ever seen.
Oh, that was beautiful. And let him have, because this is his thing. Health and public health is his crusade. And
for the record, RFK is not anti-vaccine.
Absolutely, he is not.
Wants to get the shit out of vaccines. There is 80 micrograms of aluminum.
Yeah.
Aluminum in one of our mandatory vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
Once you put aluminum in your body, it's like mercury. You're never going to get rid of it, and it's going to do
it's not good for you at all. It's bad.
The rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm not vaccinated. I'm not getting.
Tulsi at DNI.
Tulsi, I love. I mean, I think she's going to be great, and I still see her as too much of a Democrat for me. Because, like, I think that I'm kind of having like a knee-jerk reaction. You hate me, so I hate you too. Like I want to hate her just because of her background so recently being a Democrat.
She was a Democrat and she would speak. I couldn't take my eyes off her.
Yeah, she's good.
Well, number one, she's gorgeous. But number
Yeah.
two, she's thoughtful. She's
She
like
made sense.
she's like Burgum in that regard. She's one of the smart
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. You can't be a Democrat and make sense. You cannot be. Once you start making sense, like even Fetterman now is starting to make sense. He had a stroke, his personality
It's
changed.
ironic.
Yeah. Okay. So like people's personalities change after a major stroke. Obviously, he is not the person he was before he had the stroke. I like him better. But when you make sense, you can't be a Democrat. They're going to kick him out. They're going to get rid of him.
Every time he says something sensible, his own party insults him.
Yes.
He's trying to tell people, we got to stop being dorks. We got to
Same with
stop
Tulsi.
being emotionalist crybabies. And the party is excoriating him for it.
Yeah.
But
And
he's
same
right.
what they did to Tulsi. They
Right.
did the same thing to her. Every time she made real sense, and she actually had a good message for the Democrats. Hey, let's start making sense. We need to do, and they hated her, and they hate him now too. And even like the idiot Bill Maher on the TV, who sometimes says things that are slightly red pill, is, he's no good anymore.
I mean, he's been getting some wood on it now and then. But but he still says, I was watching the other day and he was doing the emotionalist crybaby thing about election deniers.
Yeah.
And one of his guests was trying to say it's not a one-party thing.
No.
Bill Maher's going, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Going back to 2000 till now,
Oh, Hillary Clinton was one of
you
those.
have about 20 Democrats who always said the office they ran for was occupied by an illegitimate person because they lost. They
Mhm.
lost. So whoever got the job was illegitimate. And they
Yeah.
would go out saying that.
Yeah.
So election denying is
I mean, Hillary Clinton did it.
not
She did it for-
a Republican thing. It's
No.
But what Tulsi represented to Hillary was a reasonable person, which a reasonable person is a threat.
She's a Democrat.
That's what I was saying earlier about the threats to the guys like Cornyn. Cornyn and McConnell are filthy. McConnell is filthy. He's
Yeah.
millions of dollars of Chinese money
Yeah.
funneled through his dad to through his father-in-law through a company that is entirely tied to the CCP,
Yeah.
and he's got millions.
Yeah.
Trump, if anybody starts looking into that, they're a threat to McConnell. They're, wherever Cornyn gets his
He
millions.
needs to leave. He needs to go to China. And AWOL, the vice president, that AWOL guy,
Yeah, yeah.
he needs to go to China too. I mean, they just need to
live
move to
there.
China. Like
so awesome there. Go live there. Yeah.
go live there. You know what? You like it so much.
Participate in the great economic collapse of China.
Yeah. And the age of consent for boys is only 12. And that's just a bonus for you. Get the hell out.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
What I'd like to do, the next big thing, I guess the inauguration, around inauguration time.
Yeah.
We'll get to see how many picks made it all the way through, if all of them.
All of them.
We'll know better what these people, what their vision is, and what you can prognosticate for 2 years ahead, because you were so good, you were so squared away on election night. On inauguration day, I want to hear your ideas for what the next 2 years are going to look like.
Okay. I'll think about it. Here's what I think. I think they're all going to be confirmed. We're going to get them all, every one of them, every single one that Trump wants, Trump is going to get, and nobody's going to stop him. They can't stop him. He's getting his way. That's it. We have a mandate. We voted for him, not you. He's getting it. So let me say this: if this had been the other way, if Kamala Harris had won, and the Democrats had 53 senators, they would nominate men in dresses and DEI retards, and they wouldn't even bat an eye. They would, all 53 would vote for them.
Yeah.
Not one would trash talk. No one would stand up and say,
Is an appointment Is an appointment 50 votes, or do they need 60? They don't need 60 for an appointment, do they?
No.
It's just a majority. Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I'd be surprised if Trump. I take that back. I wouldn't be surprised, and here's why. Trump is an impulsive guy sometimes.
Yeah.
I would have liked to think he went to McConnell and Senate leadership and said, "Look, I'm going to pick a lightning rod. Say what you want, but I want to know now if he's going to get through."
Yeah.
That would have been a smart move. Now,
Yeah.
if he picked Gates without doing that,
Mhm.
I think it shows that he's still a little too impulsive sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
Gates is
I mean, yeah.
like
We don't
like
know whether he
something
did that or not. We don't know. Did he do that? Or, I mean, he had time. He knew he was going to win. Everybody did. I mean, Kamala Harris knew he was going to win. They knew. They knew. I'll tell you how they know. They have internal polls.
There's a what?
They have internal polls.
Right.
Trump has his own polling company. Kamala Harris has. They already knew. They knew 2 months ago that she was going to lose. So Trump had plenty of time to talk to guys like Mitch McConnell, and I hope he did.
Yeah.
But I don't really know.
If he didn't, it's not the end of the world. Matt Gaetz is intellectually, professionally, fully capable of doing the job. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, he's got a temper.
He needs to keep his ego in check, and I think a Trump White House is capable of doing that. In fact, his chief of staff, I forget her name, his
Susie Wiley or somebody.
Yeah,
something like that.
He is going to rule the White House with an iron fist.
Oh yeah, she's like a German housekeeper.
You'll get access when you have something to say. If you have nothing to say, you're not getting access. You know, she's gonna be tough. I like that.
She's a grandma. She's a grandma with a whip.
She's gonna bring discipline to the White House. Yeah. People say Trump hates strong, smart women. That's 100% not true. And the people he listens to are the strong, smart women.
Yeah.
And women lean in and touch noses with Trump. He shuts up. When guys do it, Trump has the tendency to want to hit back.
Yeah.
But when that woman says, "No, we're not doing that today," Trump will be like, "Okay." Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting 4 years, and I hope in the next 2 years we mobilize to push toward a veto-proof majority. To get the big stuff, that's what we need.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what. Right now, I'm already gearing up for midterms.
Yeah,
I'm already
trying
looking
to get a hold of
Scott Preston. Yeah.
I almost had him before he became big league. He almost. Yeah. We were communicating to get him on the P4B. And then everything went into high gear, and he started getting.
Yeah. I was one of his first followers because he was from Pennsylvania, and I mean, I remember him when he only had like maybe 300 or 400 followers. I was one of them, and he followed me, and we actually interacted a couple times. But then I got banned, and I've been banned so many times. Every time I get good. I get banned
on X.
I got banned on Twitter 3 times, and I got banned on X 1 time.
How do you get banned on X? Would you
basically said somebody should just jump off a cliff or something like that, and you know, it's like, yeah, I wish he would just drive off a cliff or something. And that was like,
I should get banned a lot. I mess with people just to mess with them. Somebody will say something remarkably cruel and stupid.
Yeah.
Call them cruel and stupid. You're stupid. You don't know what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And I said something the other day. I forget the exchange, but I finished with, "That's exactly why I said what I said, because it upsets you." And that pleases me.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I am going to cut you loose.
All righty.
Thank you very much for joining us. And like I said, we'll have you back at around inauguration time, see what we have to look forward to.
Okay.
All right.
Y'all have a good time.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us, everybody.
Please tell a friend about the Free Zone Communiqué. We live and die with the share and subscribe buttons. Please use affiliate and sponsor buttons to support our work. Thank you very much for joining us today.